If you're like most people who work in nonprofit fundraising, you know that you want to raise more money. But there's a few more things that you really need to know before you go blaze a trail to do that. I'm Sandy Reese, fundraising coach, and I love helping people do just that. I love helping them figure out how to raise more money so that they can change more lives. And the thing that I've learned over the years is that most people know they need to raise more money, but they don't have a very clear idea of what they're raising money for, how much they need to raise, when they need to raise it, or how they're going to get it. And that's a lot of unanswered questions. So I thought I would share with you today the 6 questions that I use when I'm working with clients to help them figure out how to go raise more money. So raising money is all about accomplishing something specific. It's about changing more lives. It's about growing programs, expanding programs, adding staff, getting into a facility. There's usually some really specific reason. And that's going to have a big impact on what it is that you're doing to raise the money. So here we go. Let me walk through these questions for you and you see if you can lay out the answers for them. Now some of these are questions that I ask and some of them are things that I'm just looking for, but I always start with this one. What is your BHAG? A BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal. And I like to start with that because it gives me an idea of where we're going. You know, it's kind of like if we're going to start out on some big trip, I need to know where we're going so that I can figure out which road is going to get us there. And it's the same thing with a fundraising plan. I don't believe in cookie cutter approaches. I believe in playing to your strengths and picking strategies that are going to work for you based on your needs and your goals. So you want to start with the big thing. Where are you going? And then you look at question number 2, which is, what's that going to cost? It's not enough to know that you'd like to double your program participation or double the number of people who are being served or the lives that you're impacting. You need to hang a price tag on that, like what's that going to cost? That's really important. An awful lot of people do fundraising backwards. And what I mean by that is they'll go out and try things and they'll raise as much money as they can and then they come back and go, now, what can we do with that? And that's backwards. What you need to do is figure out what your big goal is, how many lives you want to impact, put a price tag on that, and then go raise that money. And if you can't raise that amount of money, then you may want to go back and set an intermediate goal to get you to that BHAG, that big goal. I hope that makes sense. Figure out what it's going to cost. And I mean down to the penny you need to know. Not more than what we have now, not a lot of money. No, you need to know that you need to raise an additional $60,500 or that you need to add an extra $15,932. That's the kind of specificity I'm talking about here. Now, the next question that I ask is what's worked and what's not worked? I think it's really important to look at strategies. And when I'm talking about fundraising strategies, I'm talking about grants, events, direct mail, monthly giving, major giving, planned giving, all those things that we normally spend a lot of time attending workshops for when we go to conferences, right? Here's the thing. Not every strategy is right for every nonprofit. It's kind of like this. You want to make sure you're using the right tool for the right job. Now I've got a couple of things I want to show you. First I have, let's see if I can open it here. No, maybe, here we go. I have a tool set. I think this is a ratchet set. I'm not even real sure. I know that when I need to put a bolt on or a screw or something, I can use this and make that happen. In my mind, this is a garage tool because this is where this normally lives, is in my garage. And normally when I need a tool, a hammer, a screwdriver, something like that, I'm going in the garage and looking for garage tools. These have some real specific purposes, right? Right. Now, in your kitchen, you probably have some real different tools. Tools that you use for food prep, like knives and maybe a blender, maybe some other things like this. This is a vegetable peeler. This is a very specific tool for the kitchen. Would you use this in the garage? Well, I don't know, maybe if you were peeling a potato in the garage. But I want you to think about it for a minute. These are real different tools, and they have very specific purposes, and chances are good these tools are not going to interchange very well, right? You want to make sure you're using the right tool for the right occasion. In other words, if you want to add a new program and it's going to cost you $500,000, you're not going to get there with tools, with strategies that bring you nickels and dimes. It's just not going to happen. You've got to use some strategies that are going to bring in thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, not ones and fives and tens. Hopefully that makes sense. So as I'm helping a group lay out a plan, I'm looking for what are those things that you're already doing that are working really well? What are those things that are not working so well? And we can either crank one up or we can let it all go. And what's really going to get you to the goal that you're trying to get to, okay? Question number 4 is, what do you need to stop doing? Now, chances are really good. If you've looked at what's working for you and what's not working for you, you've probably already seen some things that are not working that you need to let go of. And I'll tell you, as I sat in the development director's chair over the years, I let go of a lot of things. There were events that my organizations were doing that were barely breaking even, or that we were working our tails off and barely clearing $1,000, and we just said, we got to stop doing all that. So there are probably things you're doing that make no sense. It would be like if you were trying to cut the grass with a pair of scissors. You know, I don't know about you, but I live on 8 acres, and it takes me and my husband both about 3 hours on the lawnmowers and the tractor to get everything cut. But just think about where you live. Would it make any sense to cut the grass with scissors? No, it's not a good use of your time. It's not efficient, and you've got to look at the things that you've been doing that are taking a lot of your time, sucking your energy, and just frankly not bringing you the results that you need. You have to let that stuff go. So that's what I'm normally looking for when I'm working with clients, is what are those things that are time-sucking, energy-wasting, need to be gone kind of strategies and activities. Here's a giant hint. It's usually an event or 3 or 4. Most organizations are doing a lot of events, and it's just wearing them out, and they're not getting the results they're looking for. So there's a big hint for you. Okay, number 5. Here's the 5th thing that I'm looking for. I look for low-hanging fruit. Well, here's what that means to me. If you've ever picked apples, you know that apple trees can be really big. And sometimes you can stand on the ground and you can reach up and grab an apple and pick it. And sometimes you got to put a ladder in the tree and you got to climb up into the tree. But that's a lot of work, and I don't want to have to go up in the tree if I don't have to. It would be like this. Let's suppose that you have a grocery store in your town, or a chain of grocery stores called Kroger. We have those here in the South, and in the greater Knoxville area there's probably 8 or 10 or 12 Kroger stores. So let's imagine that you need to go to the grocery store, and there's a Kroger store. You're going to go to Kroger. There's a store that's 2 miles away. There's another one that's 10 miles away, and there's another one that's 30 miles away. Given that they all have the same thing, which one are you going to go to? Well, you're probably going to go to the one that's 2 miles away, right? Why drive 10 miles or 30 miles if you don't have to? And it's the same thing. So you want to look for those things that you can do that are going to be efficient and effective. Those things are going to be a great use of your time. Those things that are going to help you take big leaps toward raising the kind of money that you need to raise. Okay? Does that make sense? So we're looking for low-hanging fruit. This is the thing for me personally that I'm really good at. I love going and sitting down with an organization, hearing what they're trying to do, listening to their big vision. I usually can nail this very quickly, what their low-hanging fruit is and what their biggest opportunities are. A lot of times those are right under their nose and they're not even seeing them. So that's thing number 5, or question number 5 that we look at. Number 6 is going to seem pretty simple, but it's actually pretty important, and that is, what support do you need to put in place so that your plan stays on track? Let me go back to the map. I travel a lot, and sometimes I drive, and I usually keep my GPS pretty handy because I normally can't remember all the directions to a particular town or a particular place, the first time that I look at the map or the first time I look at a GPS. So I keep that handy so that as I get closer and there's a whole lot more more turns and more places that I need to look for, I don't get lost. That's the support that I put in place. If you're putting a big fundraising plan in place, what support do you need? Well, you might put in place things like, I'm going to review my plan on the first of every month just to make sure that we're still on track. Or I'm going to provide some reports to my board every month to let them know where we are and how they can help. You might want to have a mentor who helps you review your numbers every month just so you can make sure that you're on track. You see, these questions are pretty simple, and yet there's a lot of depth underneath them. And it's really important that you not only set out and do the first part of those questions, asking about the BHAG and getting the right strategies and the right tools and all that, but you want to make sure that you follow it all the way through and that you're putting support in place for yourself. This is really important. Now, if you want even more help with a fundraising plan, I want you to check out the Fundraising Blueprint. This is a training that's going to help you figure out some of these things for yourself and put together at least a draft of a fundraising plan that will target raising at least $100,000 for your organization. Why $100,000? Well, because I know that most nonprofits have a budget that's less than that, and what that tells me is that's just a little bit of money for them to cover all their expenses and deliver a lot of programs. And if you want to make a bigger impact in this world, you have to raise more money. There's no way around it. So let's start by looking at 100, and then you can go to 250, and then you can go wherever you need to go from there. And in the Fundraising Blueprint, I will teach you how to do that. I'll give you a format, because I know an awful lot of people say, I put together a plan, but I don't know where to start. So I'm going to teach you where to start, what to include. I'm going to give you a template and a sample, and I'll walk you all the way through all the steps that you need to take to get that plan in place. So watch at the end of the video, there's a special coupon code where you can save some money, and plan to join me for Fundraising Blueprint.